What is up, guys? We are finally back in the shop working. We got a brand new project, and this time it is not a lawnmower or go-kart. We got a full-size vehicle made for a man, kind of, but either way, let's get started. Alright guys, so I know it's been a minute since I've consistently put out some videos. Trying to get that back on track. But life has just been crazy lately, good and bad. But I do see you guys' comments, always wanting me back in the shop, building stuff, wanting more videos. But you have to remember, I am just a regular guy. I got a regular job, regular life. And sometimes life just gets crazy and there's things I gotta take care of. I can't always be sweating my ass off in the shop every night, making videos for practically free to put on the internet. But I'm trying. And that on top of, I'm just a really active person. I got a ton of different hobbies. I can't be in here every single night making these videos. I've been getting back into RCs a little bit. I've been doing a ton of fishing and kayaking and hiking. On top of, you guys know I like kind of the urban abandoned exploring. Been doing a lot of that. So I've been thinking about maybe doing some vlog type videos where we're in the shop a little bit, outside doing some other things, just take you guys along, kind of get two birds stoned at once doing it that way. So if you think it's something you'd be interested in, let me know and maybe we'll work in that direction. But like I said, we are back in the shop, we got a new project, and just because I haven't been posting a ton of videos doesn't mean I haven't been staying busy. I have been gathering up a ton of stuff outside, so we'll get you up to date on that. We'll get you up to date on this junker, and then we'll get started. So let's check it out. All right, guys, so obviously new project in the shop, 1980 Chevette that I picked up a couple weeks ago and have been cranking away on it. I kind of wish I would have made a video from the start, but honestly, I just wasn't motivated. I wasn't feeling it, so I didn't. It's just been me and Sid out here cranking away on it. It's kind of been our therapy lately. It's just being in the shop by ourselves. So that's what I did. But I will get you guys up to speed on this before we get to working on it. But I figured give you guys a look outside on what else I've been up to and what is to come on the channel. We'll start with this truck. I think everyone has seen this truck at this point, but you may have never seen the camper on it. That's something I picked up 6-7 months ago. But I don't think I've ever shown it on the channel with the camper on it. So give you guys a quick look at this. But somewhere down the road, we are going to be doing the air management on this, because it is only on 2 valves in the front, 2 valves on the rear, 2 switches. And with this camper on it, it gets a ton of air transfer from side to side, only having the 2 valves. So I want to get it in the shop and redo all the air management. Obviously add more valves, new compressors, reroute some stuff, and hopefully it will handle a little better with this camper on it, because I have been using this setup a lot this summer, and we're going to use it a few more times. So I'd like it to handle a little better, because right now it's a little bit scary, but look how freaking good that thing is. I love it. You guys want to see inside? I'll get this thing cranked up and give you guys a look inside real quick. All right, so how good is that setup? We got fully functioning camper in the bed of a bagged S10 that lays frame. It is so good. Let's check it out inside real quick. What do you think, Sid? You approve? You like it, bud? What about you? Kiwi likes it. Charlotte likes it. We all like it. And anybody who's been watching this channel for any amount of time, you'll notice we are missing one. Unfortunately, Amanda and I lost our little girl Coconut a couple weeks ago, and that has sucked, but we're getting through it. Still got these guys. And yeah, here's the camper. It's really good. Like I said, we've used it a bunch already, but there are a few things I want to change up on it. So we'll get in the shop at some point, and you guys will be seeing that. Then we also got this hard body here that I recently picked up. It is actually a super solid truck. or at least it was until it got stripped out and it's wrecked in the front end. But none of that matters to us. Everything we need is still there. We're going to be using this chassis, the drivetrain, probably the floor pan. We'll just leave it on the frame, cut the body off around it. And on this thing, we have options. We are either going to use this Datsun 620 and put this body onto a much wider hard body frame and make some crossover drift truck, mini truck, wide body slammed obnoxious thing. Nothing set in stone, but I just want to build something really stupid with it. And if that 620 doesn't work out, we also have the option of a Datsun 521, not this one, but I picked up another one just like it. So either way, we're going to be putting a 521 or a 620 onto that hard body chassis, and we're going to build something super cool. You guys will see that coming up. That'll actually probably be the next thing in the shop once the Chevette is done. So that's another project coming up. Got the Toyota. It has just been hanging out. I don't think I've had it out all summer long, but it will be coming back in the shop soon. It's got something crunchy, not good going on in the clutch. I don't know if it needs a clutch or a throwout bearing or something, but it needs some work. So that will be coming up in the shop, and you guys will see that. But for now, it has just been a little garage. Pretty much every truck here, I've been buying up pap caps and just turning them into little garages for toys, because we are out of room here, and this works out pretty good. So everything you see here is a mini garage now. But that's another project we got coming up. What else we got? This beast, 1984, 85, I don't even remember. But obviously, we got a G-van. I'll give you guys a quick look around this thing. And this one actually means a lot to me. Me and my brother picked this thing up in South Carolina, I don't even know, 12, 15 years ago probably. And brought it back, and as soon as my dad seen it, he fell in love with it. So we gave it to him. He used it for a lot of years, drove it all over the place, camped in it, had a ton of fun in it. But eventually he just got a camper at a campground, and this thing ended up sitting for a long time. So I picked it up back off of him, and I don't exactly know what the full plan is for it. I initially planned on bagging it, but that has just been fighting me like crazy, and I kind of just like it how it is. Maybe do a few little things to the outside, obviously clean it up, fix some things on the inside, wipe up all my dad's jizz that I'm sure is everywhere on that bed. But this thing is so good. I just want to really just make it as nice as I can without really cutting into it, keeping everything original, and just get everything working again. And maybe throw some wheels on it, maybe lower it a little bit, do a couple little typical Vanner things to it. But I don't think I want to do much to it other than get it running good, cleaning it up, and making it look a little better. And I actually did buy some wheels for this thing. That is a whole nother story. I'll tell you guys that story when we get back in the garage, because that has been a nightmare. But there's the van. You guys will be seeing that in some sort of way sometime, as soon as I have a actual plan figured out for it. What else we got? You guys remember this stupid little thing? It has just been hanging out. I've been driving the balls off of it, and really no problem. So probably won't be seeing this thing in the shop anytime soon. It's been pretty good. Like I said, we'll just continue driving it, running the balls off of it. But there it is. And what else? Oh yeah, we got, see if you can see it. Not really. Kind of creeping on the creeper van, but I did pick up an Astro van. Let's see if we can see it through here. Not really, but just a boring Astro van, but I'm gonna show you guys because I freaking love this thing. And you might actually see it at some point because I've been looking for a rusted out all-wheel drive one. I'd like to convert this thing because it is just so solid. And like I said, I love this thing. I've been driving the balls off of it. Got the kayaks in there right now. I've had four-wheelers, mini bikes, go-karts, drift carts, everything stacked in here. You can fit so much junk in this thing. And it's just so versatile. I love it. I want to do something with it at some point other than creep out little kids, because it's really good at that. But who knows? Maybe you guys will see that if I ever find a donor all-wheel drive one. I'd like to convert it. But yeah, that's the Astro van. Also makes a good ladder to get back in the shop. That's why I have all these vehicles around here. Makes a good jungle gym. But I think that's pretty much puts you up to speed on everything out here. Got lots and lots of projects that we may or may not get to. Hopefully we do. Oh, and speaking of projects, we also still have this thing that I love whenever it pisses people off that I'm not working on it. It actually makes me want to not work on it even more, because it is pretty funny how bent out of shape some people get about it. But honestly, eventually we do have to get back on that. It's just so big and takes up so much room that I've been saving it for the winter time where I can get it out here in the center of the shop, and it's not just hogging up all my workspace. I can get other stuff in and out of here all summer. But come winter, hopefully we'll get back on that thing. That second gen, I kind of have a plan for it, but it's definitely not a priority. It's just hanging out back there. But I think eventually you guys will see that, because like I said, I kind of have a plan for it. But on to what we do have a plan for. This 1980 Chevette. I picked this thing up a couple weeks ago, bone stock. It had been sitting for, I think the guy said almost 30 years. I bought it from basically the original owner. His grandparents bought it, and I believe he said his grandma was the last one living. She died in 2002, I think, and it had been sitting ever since. He eventually dug it out and put it up for sale. It wasn't running, but he got it running, kinda before I got there. He did timing belt, water pump, all the typical stuff on it, just enough to prove to me that it did run. So we ended up making a deal. I picked it up, and like I said, it was bone stock. I got it back to the shop and got it all cleaned up, detailed, fixed a bunch of little stuff, all the lights, horn, everything wasn't working. So I fixed all that. Like I said, he did have it running, but it was just enough to know that it did run. So I went through it, got it running super good. It is a 1.6 automatic. This car's only got 70,000 original miles. Like I said, one owner, which was a really old couple. And check this thing out, guys. It is so good. I have all the original paperwork, window sticker, the order sheet for it. I have every bit of paperwork for this thing. I'll show you guys that in a little bit. But like I said, I got back to the shop, got it running. Look at this thing. So good. yeah, basically, I got it back here, got it running, got it cleaned up, had to fix some brakes, got the engine going good, and actually drove it around a little bit just to make sure we were good to go, work the bugs out of it. Then I got it back to the shop, and initially I wasn't going to bag it. You know how that goes. Look where we're at now. I just wanted to do a Evel Knievel theme with it. So I started with that, and all this vinyl is all hand cut. My plotter wasn't big enough for a lot of it, so I just spent night after night out here cutting all this vinyl by hand. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good for who did it. And the vinyl I used, show you guys, is actually like a glitter vinyl. It's got some metallic to it, so nothing would stick to itself because it's got a texture to it. So all these stars are inlaid into the blue, same with the silver over the red, everything. So that took a ton of time actually. So it wouldn't have made a great video anyway, so you guys didn't miss much. So far on this car, all you've missed is me getting it running, which was boring, me replacing brake lines, which is boring, and me cutting vinyl for days and days and days, which was also boring. So honestly, you haven't missed a whole lot. And the reason is laying on the ground right now is because I ripped out all the poor people parts. And I did that in advance just because I had to get measurements on what bags we could fit and what shocks we needed. And I just wanted to make sure we had everything here ready to go when we started working on it. Because the plan is in 10 days, there's a local show here, my favorite show of the year, Rockabilly Ruckus. And this thing's going one way or the other, but I would like to drive it there. So that's where we're at with it. You guys haven't missed a ton despite what it looks like. But in 10 days, I want to get this thing bagged on the road, make sure it's good to go, and I want to drive it to the Rockabilly Ruckus and maybe even get it out on the dirt track. That would be a ton of fun. But yeah, that's where we're at with it. We'll go over it. I'll show you guys more in detail here in a few minutes. But the plan for it, obviously, is we're going to bag this thing. So like I said, I've been collecting parts. Hopefully we got everything we need to where once we get started on this thing, nothing slows us down. We can just get going. First and foremost, I do have to thank Viair. They sent me this dual pack of 485Cs. Much appreciated. Thank you guys so much for that. They'll be put to good use. But the system we're going to do on this, super simple. It's just going to be real basic. So I didn't figure no point wasting this amazing set of Viairs on that thing with this tiny little tank. It doesn't need two big compressors. So I went ahead, I picked up, I had this, this thing is actually 15 years old. Another Viair 350 compressor. That thing was still going strong after 15 years, but I went ahead, got a rebuild kit for it. It's freshly rebuilt. We got a new leader hose, new air filter, new check valve, everything from Viair. So we're just gonna run this 350 on there because it's super small tank, super simple system. So we're gonna save 485s for one of these projects outside, maybe that thing, who knows. But thank you, Viair. And also my buddy Joe at Total Off-Road, he hooked me up with bags for this thing, and we are going to be running Slam Specialty RE5s on the front, RE6s on the back. Hopefully we can make both of those fit. We'll find out. Maybe some cutting, a lot of cutting involved, but either way, that is the plan. So thank you, Joe. Like I said, Total Off-Road, don't let the name fool you. They do more than off-road. They can get you bags, compressors, valves, any name brand that you see anywhere else, they can get you, as well as off-road parts, wheels, tires, lift kits, lowering kits, anything you need, hit up Joe at Total Off-Road. He will hook you up. He hooked me up. Thank you guys. Thank you, Viair. And what else we got? Like I said, picked up Just a small little 3-gallon tank. Hopefully it'll be hot, easy to hide in this tiny little car. We got a Stinger relay for the compressor. Like I said, keeping it super simple and reliable. Just going old school. 3/8 SMC valves. They've never let me down. So that's what we're going to go with. 150-pound pressure switch. It's just going to be super simple. 2 switches, up, down. That is all we got. It's just an air gauge, a couple fittings we need, and a roll of 3/8 line. So hopefully that is everything that we'll be needing, the major parts, and we can get on this thing. Nothing will stop us. But yeah, that is it. Let's check this car out a little bit closer and give you guys a feel for what we're working with. All right, you guys know me. You know I love my vintage stuff. So I've already filled this thing with a bunch of 80s and 90s memorabilia. Just kind of set the mood for it. And picked up this super cool picnic basket. I actually think I'm going to turn that into a just a small subwoofer box and have a little sub in there maybe. But there's all the original paperwork. I'll get that out, show you guys a couple of the cool things that came with this car. But yeah, that's going to be the trunk area. We're going to attempt to hide all the air ride underneath here in the spare tire wheel well. We'll see how that goes. But let's check the rest of this thing out because it is so good. Like, it is almost spotless. And of course, up front, I had to add some more vintage stuff. You know how I like to do it. Got the Johnny Cash. Picked up a pretty cool little tape deck. Evel Count Evil. Rockabilly Ruckus. That is our goal. But this thing is just almost unbelievably clean. And like I said, 1.6 liter automatic, 70,000 original miles. I also put new tires on it. And this thing, how it's sitting right now, is how it's going to sit when we bag it, because I don't want to cut into this car. It's just too good. So it's about 2 inches from laying out. The front, I'm going to set it up to where it does lay out. It's actually on a 2x4 right now. It'll go 2 inches lower in the front. I'm going to set it up with spacers, so where if I ever do want to cut into this car, I can just take the spacers out of the front. The front will be good to go. I won't have to redo the mounts or anything. But the rear, as it sits right now, I'll show you guys once it's up in the air. But basically everything hits at one time at this point. This is, the axle tubes are laying on the subframe rail. The factory link bars are hitting the floor pan at the same time. The drive shaft is actually hitting the training tunnel pretty much at the same time as everything else. And the center diff is hitting the floor pan. And also the fuel lines run over top. And if I went any lower, I'd have to reroute all the fuel lines and brake lines, as well as cut into the floor pan, cut into the frame rail. So just not something I want to do with this car at this point. So this is going to be how it sits, which actually doesn't bother me at all. I actually like it a lot. It has got a little bit of a rake. I like that also because this thing is an 80s machine. But there it is. So let's get this thing up in the air and get busy on it. All right, so I just want to show you guys all this nerdy stuff I mentioned before we go any further, because you know I love nerdy. And this old man, he kept absolutely everything with this car. I got all the original manuals, the brochures from the dealership, the advertisements, all the maintenance work. He always had it maintained at Ewing Chevrolet in Canton, Ohio, which is 15-20 minutes from here. So local history, super cool. bunch of receipts we had it rust proofed every year in Massillon, Ohio, which is also just right down the road. Anything he did to the car, he kept all the paperwork for. Tires, radio, aftermarket cruise control manual. Just super cool. He kept all of that stuff. Like I said, all the brochures and advertisement from the dealership. Hey, what else we got? Oh, right here it is. Window sticker and even the order sheet from when he bought it. The day he bought it at Ewing, or at least ordered it. All the options he had, which is not many. Paid $4,895.82 for this thing on 5/5 of 1980. And Ewing, actually it went out of business about 10 years ago, but the building's still there. It's a pretty cool old building, just a brick and mortar old dealer. So eventually I'd like to actually drive this car back to where it came from and get some pictures in front of the building there. I think that'd be super cool. But just want to show you guys all that because you know I love history and the story of everything. And another thing I want to do before I forget, when we were outside I mentioned bought some wheels for the van and the nightmare that became. And it actually kind of did piss me off, but I'm just trying to be nice about it because I went to Krager's for it. It's an old 80s van, of course it needs Krager's. But I actually am not a big fan of Krager's, especially like 14, 15-inch ones. But I thought if I could find some bigger ones and kind of mix new with old, it'd be pretty cool. So I searched and searched and searched for some like 17-inch Krager's with a 5-on-5 bolt pattern. And they were super hard to find, but I eventually found this set in Detroit, which is 4 hours from here. So I drove 4 hours one way, got there, and it's kind of weird. The guy selling it, he may even be watching this because it turns out I got there. He recognized me, he knew who I was, which is weird in itself, but it happens and it's weird. But, so you figured he'd be a straight up guy, be completely honest with me. You'd be wrong, because he lied right to my face. He told me he had these on his C10, that they're 18-inch 5-on-5 Krager's. So still marketplace. So I brought my the template, lug pattern template. I brought that with me. Immediately realized they were not 5-on-5, they were 5-on-5.5 forward, after he told me they were on his C10. So I should have just left them then, but I was already there, already drove 4 hours, had fuel, gas, tolls, everything. So he ended up knocking $100 off the price of them, so I could buy adapters to fit it on the van, which in my head I knew that was a bad idea because they were not going to tuck under the fenders if I planned on bagging that thing. But whatever, I still bought them. Came home, bought some 18-inch tires for them, went to mount them up, and I'm sure you can already tell this one just fell right inside the tire. So grab my tape measure, and guess what? They're not even 18s, they are 17s. So he lied to me about absolutely everything on this. I don't know if he's gonna be watching or not. I'm not gonna call him out, but if you are watching, just don't be that guy. You're a dick. So I ended up with $1,000 in wheels and tires and tolls and gas for wheels I don't need. But whatever, I guess it's a good excuse to buy a Ford now. Actually, no, there's never a good excuse to buy a Ford, but we have them. That's the story on that thing. Marketplace kind of sucks, you guys. But either way, got the car up and give you guys a quick look at what I was talking about on the rear. Pretty much how everything kind of hits all at once. I don't know how much you'll be able to see, but link bars hitting the floor pan. Axle tube is hitting the frame rail. The pumpkin, the center diff there, is hitting the floor pan, as well as I mentioned all the fuel lines run over top. They would have to be rerouted if you wanted to go lower. And the drive shaft tube is also hitting the floor pan up there. So that's the reason I'm just gonna leave it where it's at. I don't feel like cutting this car up to get 2 inches lower in the rear. So we'll live with how it is. In the front, like I mentioned, the only thing you guys have missed on this is I pulled out the shocks, which mount from the upper control arm up to the tower. Super easy to remove. And I popped the coil springs out of there, which they just sit in the control arm just like anything else. So you didn't miss anything on that. And it did have some bump stops, which kept it from laying out. So I cut those off real quick. But other than that, this thing is bone stock suspension, and you guys already seen how it lays out pretty good. Like I said, in the front, if all you want to do is throw some bags on it, it's going to lay out no problem in the front. The back is where you're going to have a little bit of issues, but we're just going to leave it. And like I said, we're going to put some spacers on the front of this to where if I ever do want to cut into the car, we'll just pull those out and the front will be good. But I'm gonna go ahead and get started, get this front end tore apart, get the spindle swung out of the way, and see what we gotta do to start coming up with a plan to get a bag in there. What's up, big guy? What are you doing? You're a good boy. All right, guys, so got this side all blasted apart. Just popped the ball joint and tie rod off and swung the rest up out of the way. And I'm looking at it, and I'm fairly certain we can get away with just using this factory pad here, which was, you know, the coil spring set over top of it. But it's nice and flat, plenty thick, so I think we can just get away with drilling a hole all the way down through bolt hole to where you can just use that to bolt the bag in the bottom. And then up top, it would just be a matter of getting this bump stop completely cut out of the way. And we can't really do anything with the rest of this little tower here. We don't need any more, obviously, for coil springs, but the upper control arm is kind of integrated into that. So that's kind of all got to stay, but we can trim up what we need to. But other than that, I think, like I said, get the bottom mounted, get the bump stops cleared out of the way, and I think we can just get away with just making a plate that, you know, goes inside of there where you can weld it up plenty good. Just an upper bag plate, get it figured out as far as height and everything it needs to go, and make some gussets, you know, do whatever we have to. But should be pretty straightforward, pretty easy, I think. So I'm going to work on getting some holes drilled, going to get bump stops completely cut out of there, and things just cleaned up a little bit. I'll do that on both sides, and we'll take a look at what we have then. Come on, get in there, Sid. Get in there. No Kiwi. Just Sid. All right, Bob, you're in charge in there, all right? You guard the place. All right, don't let these other two troublemakers in there. Hear that, troublemaker? You're not allowed in there. You're not allowed in there either, troublemakers. Get out of here. Get going. All right, good listeners. All right, so give you guys a quick look at what we came up with before we go any further on this thing. On both sides, went ahead and drilled our holes for the bag. Drilled it top and bottom because it's plated, so you have to do top and bottom. And don't ask what size that is. It's basically that unibit on top and that bigger one on bottom. Reason for a bigger hole in the bottom so we can get bolt and washer for the bag up through there, as well as a socket to tighten it. So big hole on bottom, small one on top, and we just used a cutoff wheel and trimmed off what was left of that bump stop. And give you guys a look on this side. Already got bag bolted up, and it actually fit in there a lot nicer than I thought it was, but it is a small bag. Remember, it is a Slam Specialty RE5, but obviously as the car comes down, this control arm is going to go up. So right now it's just a matter of throwing it back together, getting some measurements, and seeing exactly where this arm is going to end up at, and that'll determine where our upper plate is going to be. And looking at it, we may have to come in here and trim away on the side of this tower a little bit. That's no big deal. We can go back through and gusset it, plate it, do whatever we have to after the fact. But there may be a little trimming on the side there. And like I said, it's just a matter of measuring, figuring out where our upper bag needs to go, our upper plate, and making that. And remember, I am going to leave a little bit of space in here, about 1 inch, so that bag can collapse 1 inch farther than it's going to right now, in case in the future I decide to cut into the rear, make it lay out. The front will already be ready. So I'll figure this out, get some measurements, and see where this upper plate's going to go, and we'll start making that. Okay, so here's what I came up with so far. This is how I'm going to do it. If you're bagging your own 1980 Evel Knievel Chevette, maybe you can do it this way. If you want to do it your own way, don't listen to me because I am kind of stupid. But here's how I'm going to do it. Basically, this line you see here and over is what needs cut out as far as bag clearance. How I came up with that, had it all together, jacked this up to where from the lower plate that we're using, typically you need 4 inches. That's the collapsible height of that bag. So you need 4 inches between the bottom plate and the upper plate. In this case, like I said, we're going to leave an extra inch of collapse in case we ever want to go lower with this car. So we needed 5 inches. So basically when I had it all together, jacked it up where it needed to be, that was up in that area, and 5 inches brought us pretty much right to this factory little nub they have there. So that's what I'm working off of. So that's what needs trimmed out on both sides. I have it marked, but we're going to trim all that out. I'm not just going to leave this half of a goofy spring pocket in the way of the upper plate. The upper plate's going to be just right below it, and it would be a nightmare getting bolts and the air fitting and everything in there. So I'm going to cut away as much as I can of that upper piece. And if you can see in there, can't see it too well, but this hump here, that's actually the cross shaft for the upper control arm. That's what runs through there. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut as close as I can to the outside of that and cut it down, and just take all this off in one piece. Like I said, we may have to go back and gusset the sides, but the upper plate will act as what this does now that we're cutting all out of there. It's just going to be basically 1 inch or 2 lower than the factory one. So we're going to get that all out of the way, get this cut out, and I'll start making upper plate. So that's the plan, and check back in a little bit. So here's a look at what we ended up with. Got all that cut out, nice, straight, and smooth. Here's the pieces we cut out. Obviously the upper spring pocket there, and then the 2 sides. And that's gonna make life way easier on us getting that out of the way. Bag will bolt up there. It's gonna have plenty of room all the way around it. And I went ahead and made a template for the upper bag plates. And those will go in, you know, somewhere in the neighborhood of there. We'll get it measured and marked, and get it cleaned up, get these plates made so we can come back, still get to everything. We'll fully weld it, both sides and the back, and add gussets top to bottom as needed. But I'm gonna go ahead, get a couple of these gussets made up, and we'll get them in there. Still keeping them troublemakers out of here, bub? Yeah, I knew you were the man for the job. Good boy. All right, guys, so we got our template, got our first plate made. Don't look so shocked. But I'm just gonna clamp this one down to the plate so I can use it as a guide for the plasma for our cheap $150 Amazon plasma that's still going strong after 2 or 3 years. But get this one cut out, drilled out, grind, cleaned up, and we'll get them on the cart. Okay, so we got our upper bag plates made. Super easy, nothing to it. Got that one bolted to a bag already. We'll come over to the passenger side here, give you guys a look. And that would just go right back in, bolt to the lower arm. Then up top, fits way back in that pocket nice and easy. So we'll get it measured height-wise and the angle it needs to be at, and get this thing tacked in there. Later on, we'll come through, make some gussets for it, do whatever we got to do, but should be super easy. So I'll get some measurements. We'll get this thing tacked in there. All right, guys, so I got this wheel jacked up to where the tire is going to be when the car is laid out. And all I did was throw an angle finder on the lower control arm. It is sitting at about 20 degrees. So that is the angle we're going to set the upper bag plate also. So the bag is nice and straight. And I also measured from where the lower plate is. Typically you'd want 4 inches for a fully compressed bag. That's where you would put your upper plate. But if you remember, we're going to leave an extra inch on this car in case we want to go lower a little later. So that basically is going to put the upper plate just about even with where the top one, where the factory one was. It's going to be a little bit of an angle. It's actually going to work out really good. We'll be able to fully weld the underside and come up here and weld the top seam, get all that structurally sound again, add a couple gussets, and be good to go. All right, guys, so I got that bag plate just tacked into place. No gussets or anything yet, but give you guys a look at it. This is where it'll sit with the car fully aired out. But remember, we did leave an extra inch of collapse in that bag in case we ever want to go lower. But fits in there real nice and straight. No rubbing issues, plenty of clearance all the way around the bag. So that's with it aired out. And I'll let this jack down. And even aired up, still plenty of clearance everywhere. Fits real nice. Stays straight throughout the travel. So I'm happy with it. Go us. We didn't suck this time. But there it is. You guys see me do one side. No sense watching me do the other. So we're gonna call it a night on this video. Next time you see this, I'll have the front, both sides fully done, and we'll jump to the rear. So we'll see you guys then. Oh yeah, guys, one more thing. If you could just like, comment, subscribe, share, tell a friend, all that good stuff, that'd be awesome. I do appreciate you guys watching, but a lot of you suck at that other stuff. I'm out here doing the hard work. You get to sit home and watch me, so that'd be greatly appreciated, and we'll see you guys next time. Forgot about you, bub. You almost stayed the night in there. Yeah, I would have been in trouble, huh? Get out there, goof.